New York Post was covering this. It's about a woman named Coretta James. Coretta James lives in Queens, in New York. Coretta James is a black woman who's 49. And while the left is busy shoving anti-police propaganda down the throats of anyone who will listen, but especially urban populations, Coretta James is out there doing something absolutely amazing. Every week, she buys stacks of Hallmark note cards, takes them home, and handwrites notes for policemen in New York City. And her goal is to have a handwritten note for every single police officer in New York City before all said and done. James said, I started with 112th Precinct in Forest Hills, and that just set the tone. To date, she has written more than 4,000 cards that she's given to officers in all of the city's 77 precincts and some working details at Yankee Stadium. She keeps a list of everyone she has thanked so far. There are 36,000 cops, she says, so I have a lot of writing to do.
Wow.
In every one, she says, thank you for your service in the NYPD. It takes a special person to take a job that every time you put on your uniform, you put your life at risk. Grateful for your service. Each envelope is adorned with an American flag sticker. James says, I once went into a precinct and gave a card to a police officer, and he said, in my 26 years on the job, this is my first thank you card I've ever gotten. James said, it made me realize what I was doing was very much needed. I see them as human beings because I want them to see me as a human being. Some people think cops crawl out from under a rock, then go home and crawl back under a rock. But they're somebody's son, somebody's daughter, or mother, or father. This is personal, intimate, an expression of kindness to another human being, retired NYPD Transit Chief Joe Fox told the Post. And then just one more quote. James said, I'm pulling from the Post here. James is aware that to some, her simple act of kindness toward cops can be seen as polarizing. James says, though, I'm prepared for blowback, but it's not about me. It's about the police. And I want them to know they're appreciated. So we deal with a lot of grim stories around here. The country is in rough shape right now. But I saw that story and got excited about it. I was trying to figure out what to talk about on the show today, and that one just stuck out to me. This is a woman who has rejected everything that the left has told her about police. And she's thinking for herself. She's thinking on her own. And the sad thing, guys, is that in so doing, she actually becomes an enemy of the left.
Yeah.
Because she's daring to stand up to that narrative. And I wonder, do you guys... The Post is the one that ran this. The Post tends to be more conservative. I don't see her getting love from much of anybody else other than conservative publications.
No way.
I mean, do you see any leftist publications embracing her and talking about how she's thinking on her own and being original?
No, they want more. They want more. They want everyone to be divided into their little boxes, and everyone has their own like little thing, and they can go and shout about it on prime time.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that we're having right now, is that there's no gray area anymore. There's no room for discussion anymore. There's no room for dissent or for someone to kind of go against the grain with these things. So I think the story, it's like whether or not you agree with her doing this, you have to respect the fact that there are people willing to buck the trend in a sense, in whatever regard that is.
Yeah, I mean, establishment media is, I'd say, just as responsible for the left and BLM of fueling racial division in the country, especially over the last year with some of the riots and protests we saw. But I think what she's doing is incredible. And I love her simple quote of, I treat them as humans because I hope they'll treat me that way. I mean, that's it. I mean, that is such a simple rule to live by for anyone who's dealing with the police. You treat everyone as your fellow human being, and they will do the same for you. And I just think that is such an incredible message of her, but that is never a message that establishment media would ever get close to touching.
It's not. And what I absolutely love about her is she's not falling for the party line.
No.
She won't take the bait. And what's sad is that the left will absolutely hate her. Mm-hmm. And what's even worse is that they'll hate her for doing something that is so good for her and her community.
Yeah.
She's had the guts to take a stand, and they will do whatever they can to delegitimize her and destroy her. But she knows. I mean, that's what she said at the end. She said, "I'm prepared for the blowback. It's not about me. It's about the police, and I want them to know they're appreciated." And Coretta James, we want you to know we appreciate you here at the Western Journal.